All right, my man. Welcome to the Jack Vegans podcast. Very excited to have you. I thought I would invite you to the podcast for a couple of reasons. First, because obviously we work together. You're a coach of the team, and you're also a beast, man. And I know that many people want to know how do you do it? What's your secret to be so jacked and be vegan at the same time?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me. Yeah, you and me were buddies well before I worked with Jack Vegans. We were supporting each other online
Yeah.
via Instagram, and then joining Jack Vegans obviously was awesome. We've been crushing it. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's much of a secret. It's just, a matter of proper nutrition, proper recovery, knowing when to dial back. My thing is jujitsu, and then I love bodybuilding exercises. And it's funny that people see me online and they will label me as a bodybuilder. Really, I identify more as a jujitsu fighter that likes bodybuilding exercises.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of questions like, how are you balancing both of these? How are your joints not sore, this and that? And that's a very layered question, because I was for a long time dealing with sore joints. Turned out I had arthritis in my elbows. I
Wow.
As you know, I had an elbow surgery. I had a bone spur grow inside my left elbow to the point where it broke off in the middle of a jiu-jitsu match, and
Oof.
it locked my arm up, and I had to have surgery. They went in, cleaned out the entire joint, and that was a bit of a game changer. But really the big thing is, for guys who want to do martial arts and bodybuilding stuff, is you got to remember, I'm not doing both things at 100% aggressiveness all the time.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know my body really, really well over the years. And I know that if I go 100% in both bodybuilding and jujitsu, I'm going to end up being sore in my joints, and then eventually I'm going to get injured. So it's all about knowing where to pull back, when to pull back. I would say I probably get a little more aggressive in bodybuilding than I do in jujitsu. Jujitsu is more about efficiency and learning the techniques rather than forcing the techniques, which is something that, as a white belt, you want to force everything. So, people get into jujitsu and they're like, I'm so sore. My joints are so beat up. It's like, well, that's the white belt journey.
Yeah.
You're pushing too hard. You're trying to force everything. Once you learn the pathways of the body, it all starts to become like water. There's a big difference between fighting a tough blue belt and fighting a tough black belt. Fighting a tough blue belt, it can feel like two titans like colliding. I'm a 4-stripe purple belt, right? So I'm in the upper end of the middle of the pack. My next promotion is brown belt. So you go against like I've gone against blue belts who are NFL football players, and you feel them forcing everything. You feel that pro athlete strength and performance. You go against with a black belt, it's like fighting water.
I
They're
love
moving
that.
around you and avoid, yeah, and they have answers and responses for everything you're doing. So, the secret outside of nutrition and recovery and proper training is also knowing when to pull back on intensity. So I think knowing your body and listening to the little aches and pains is a really big part of all of this, because if you can do that successfully, you can really enjoy a dialed in, strong, jacked up body, which is what I think both of us are doing.
Yeah, and that was kind of like a trick question. I love your answer because in the reality, there's like no secret. You just got to do the work and know what to do when you're investing the time, both in the gym and outside the gym, to get the results you want. And like you said, knowing your body, I think that comes a lot with experience and from making mistakes. Because once you make the mistake, you make it a couple of times, and then you start recognizing, okay, this is what it felt before. It's time to pull back. And I'm in the same process as like you're describing, because I'm getting into martial arts now, and I had to dial back my weight training because I was like so beat up and so fatigued that I was like, I can't even fucking get out of bed. But now I'm dialing up my volume. I'm feeling better. I'm able to perform in the gym with less volume, and I'm able to do good in my training sessions for martial arts. So it's all about having that little bit of a nuance.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, well said.
And you're a coach, man. So what's your philosophy when it comes to coaching? Like, how do you like to approach a client?
Yeah, so you touched on one of the aspects I like a lot, actually, which is, embracing your mistakes. I think that a lot of people come into fitness with the idea that everything has to be so perfect. I got to hit my numbers perfectly. I got to hit my calories perfectly. And then that's so stressful, because like, how do you hit, if you, let's say, my my protein goal, let's just make it abstract. I normally get around 220 grams of protein a day. And that's the coach in me saying around, right? If my protein goal on paper says 223, I'm never focused on hitting 223 grams of protein every day. That stresses me out thinking about it right now to get that dialed in. Even when I compete in jujitsu and I have to make weight, I'm never worried about hitting everything perfectly. It's all about being within that range. So, embracing the mistakes and know that any path void of difficulty devalues the end result. A lot of people want to start these things and they don't realize like the beginning is the hardest. Like I always relate everything back to martial arts. Imagine the journey of a white belt. If every person that came to jiu-jitsu gave up when it got tough, there would be no black belts anywhere. And that's the same with any journey, whether that's fitness, whether that's business, whether that's romantic relationships. The beginning tends to be the most challenging point. And if you can embrace your mistakes, learn from them, those mistakes turn into something that used to hold you back and now they're stepping stones, right? So that's one philosophy I really try to send forth. Don't worry about being perfect. Let's make the mistakes and make them proudly and learn from those. And another thing I like to add to that is small steps climb mountains. Everybody wants to jump the mountain in one step, right? Like for jujitsu, it takes 10 years at least. Some guys hit it sooner than that, but on average, about 10 years to get your black belt. You can't rush the process, right? Enjoy the journey. Stop worrying about getting to the finish line, taking the lessons along the way, and you'll start to see your body transform. And that's almost more fun than getting to the finish line, right? Like getting to be there, to be present mindfully and physically for those changes that are happening in your body is a beautiful thing. And that's what keeps me going. People are like, well, how do you stay so motivated? I'm like, I'm not motivated. I'm really not. I'm motivated from time to time, but as we all know, motivation's fleeting. This is another thing I like to tell my clients. I like to get to a point where you're past the point of no return. Like for me, there's no world where I'm going backwards. I work so hard to get where I'm at. There is no way I'm going to let anything get in my way and make me go backwards. I mean, I came back from a brutal spine injury. I've got metal in my neck. C5 and C6 is now fused. I came back from that. You want to get to the point where this is a lifestyle, right? And that takes time. You have to be patient. People will say that the magic pill of success doesn't exist, but I think it does. It's just in the form of long-term consistency. That's another nugget that I give to my clients. Like, don't expect big results overnight. We got to be consistent for the long run. And I think when you can kind of encapsulate all of these things and put it into one meal that you can munch on and eat every day, day in and day out, you really start to see people change their whole entire, not just their body, but their world in the most beautiful of ways.
Yeah, I think you touch on a couple of very important things. And the first thing that I love was the consistency and the long-term investment, because we're so used to marketing stuff promising quick results. This is going to happen overnight, get rich overnight, get this overnight. But most of the things do not happen overnight. You got to put in the work, you got to put in the consistency. And also something you said before as well was the mistakes and the challenges. The only reason we can be coaches is because we've made all the mistakes and we know that you shouldn't go that way because we already went that way and it sucks. So don't go that way. So if you maybe look up to us in like for the fitness side or something else, know that the reason we're here is because we've made all the mistakes that you can make, and we can tell you what not to do. So when you make a mistake, think about that. It's like you're acquiring experience that is going to be valuable for all your life, because it's going to teach you something you can internalize and take on for future life challenges or life situations. Now, you're a fusion man. Obviously, you're a big guy. You don't eat meat. Tell us a little bit about that story when you decided to stop eating animals and go fully plant-based. Like, how did that happen? How did you feel after? What made you make that decision?
Right. Yeah. So I would say for most of my adult life, probably from like, let's call it 15 years and on even, I was really into the idea of building muscle and making yourself stronger and more efficient. I was a wrestler in high school, and my coach, I'll never forget the sit down talk he had with me my freshman year. Freshman year, I lost most of my matches. I was skinny, and he sat me down at the end of the season. He's like, what you need to do is work out all year, all summer. I want you coming back, bench pressing your own body weight. Right. And then from there, we'll work past that. He's like, eventually you're going to be benching more than your own body weight. You're going to feel so strong. you're going to perform so much better in wrestling. So he really got me hooked. Him and also my dad. At one point, for my birthday, I was like, Dad, I think I want a paintball gun. He's like, do you want a paintball gun or do you want a weight set? And I'm like, well, he's like, think
Both.
about it. He's like, yeah, he was like, think about it. You know, the paintball gun will probably be cool for a couple summers. The weight set you can use for the rest of your life. And he's like, the weight set is going to give you bigger muscles, more strong. He's like, you're going to be better at wrestling. What does the paintball gun do for you? I'm like, all right. So I asked for the weight set and got the weight set. So was introduced to fitness very early on. Now, I knew that with fitness, I'd need to improve my diet. So, you know, and I've never really been a big meat kind of guy. Like I've got buddies who like, I got to have my steak once a week. You know, I've never been into that, right? Like I've always thought meat was a little gross anyways. Even as a kid, I thought chicken tasted like tires. That was my thing. And my parents were like, this kid's so picky. Just give him freaking tater tots. So, you know, I was never really focused on food as far as what it is. It didn't need to be meat. Like if you gave me a box of crayons with 40 grams of protein, I would have eaten it, right? So when I met my then girlfriend, now wife, Marky, she was vegan. And right around the time I met her, I also had met a trainer in the gym who was saying he was vegan. And he was like 50. He was jacked for a 50-year-old. I'm like, how's this guy at 50, this jacked, eating spinach and nuts? And like I was frustrated with him. I'm like, I feel like the guy's lying to me. He must think I'm stupid. Right. And then so Marky's like trying to, I'll never forget, we had a date the one day. This is very early on in the relationship. And I told her I was an animal lover. And she goes, oh, you're vegan. And I said, no, I'm not vegan. Why? And she goes, oh, so you're a pet lover. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
She might, and I'm like, I think you got me there. Like I didn't really have a
Comeback.
I didn't have a comeback for that, you know? So she got the ball rolling a little bit. And eventually I told her, I'm like, you know what? You show me food that has the same macro and calorie or similar macros and calories to, let's say, chicken breast, because that was basically the only meat I would eat.
Yeah.
Poultry, we'll call it. Because I never liked seafood. I'd given up pork, pig and cow and all that. Like I had not touched that for years. I was dairy free for like 10 years before I even went vegan. So I was basically pescatarian, but with chicken breast, right? Instead of fish. So I'm like, will you show me a food source that's vegan that has similar macronutrients that's called chicken breast, and I'll think about switching. And she's like, all right, well, here's seitan, here's TVP, here's tempeh. And I'm like, damn, all right. So right around this time, I was just getting into jiu-jitsu. I had competed down in Chicago, did well. I placed, was very happy, got promoted to blue belt on the stage, on the podium. Life was good. I'm like, all right, I really want to start taking this more seriously. And I remember at open mat, like a couple weeks later, I got stuck in a front headlock and I rolled the wrong way and basically got my head twisted around my whole body, essentially is what happened. And I remember feeling like this warm liquid sensation going down the inside of my torso. It must have been traveling down my spinal cord because it was synovial fluid inside a disc.
Damn, man.
And basically what happened was the disc ruptured so badly that it split into 3 arms. One arm went up my spinal column, one arm went down my spinal column, and one arm went into my spinal cord by 22 millimeters.
Holy
so
shit.
Eventually when I got the MRI, it in the MRI, it looked like it didn't have a spinal cord where the disc was sticking into the spinal cord because it was so herniated. You know, I couldn't hold a water bottle with my left arm, and the pain from walking was like I couldn't walk, right? And there was no way I was going to get around this. So I ended up having the surgery. Ended up having to sit, you know, while the fusion settled, because basically what they do is they remove the disc, they take a bone spacer from a cadaver. So I have someone else's bone in my spinal column. They put that in as a spacer between the two the spinal columns. They drill into that, and then what they do is they take a piece of your bone and they grind it into powder, and they mix it with your blood, and they turn it into this bio glue. Now, once they drill into your spinal column, they use this bone paste to fill the gaps, and eventually that settles and hardens. and
Yeah.
it keeps the fuse inside the bones of your spinal cord, or your spinal column, I should say. So in this process, once this is done, you basically have to sit still for 3 months.
Wow.
Absolutely no exercise, because if you ruin the adhesion that the bioglue makes, guess what? You got to redo the whole surgery.
Wow.
And I wasn't going to go through that. It was I had a horrible experience with that. We'll save that story for another time. But um, it was bad, man. So I had to sit still. I was eating like garbage. I lost a lot of my muscle. I put on a lot of fat because I'm just sitting in a couch playing video games all day, ordering Chinese food like 3 times a day. Because, Marky, my wife, was, going to school or work, and she couldn't be there to always take care of me. So, and I couldn't get up to make my own food. So I would just order food to the house.
Wow.
So my body got to a point that I'd never seen it before in my entire life. Like
You have
I
pictures?
had a lot, dude. I no, and I wish I would have, because
Yeah.
because if I would have known, I would have gone down this journey on social media. I could post those, but I wouldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I
Yeah.
hated how I looked. So I fell apart, and eventually, leading up to this point, my elbows, like we had talked about earlier, my elbows had hurt. I had a lot of tendonitis in my elbows from lifting and jujitsu, because I was in those early years. I was a blue belt pushing too hard. So I was always sore in my elbows and my shoulders. So I'm thinking to myself, well, this 3 months will be great for my elbows to reset, right? So finally, the doctor gives me the go ahead after the 3 months of the fusion settling. He gives me the green light to go work out. I go work out, and within 2 weeks, not only was my neck killing me, the pain in my elbows and shoulders was back with a vengeance. I'm like, like that rest did nothing for me, right? So simultaneously, Marky was still like, hey, you should just try this. Like, I think you would like it. It's good for anti-inflammatory. I think it might help your elbows. All the benefits that come with plant-based eating. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it. I'm gonna try it. I have nothing to lose. I want to be able to say that I'm an animal lover without looking like a fraud, right? I want to feel better. So I started eating plant-based, 100% vegan. And within 2 weeks, my joints, including my neck, felt better than they had in a long time. And I'm talking, I was taking probably $60 a month worth, $70 a month worth in joint support, which had only really eased the pain by 50%. And by just switching to a plant-based diet, took me almost to 100% healed within 2 weeks.
That's
So
incredible.
now, yeah, it was great. And so now, because my joints don't hurt anymore, I'm pushing harder in the gym. I'm pushing like back like I was when I was 18, because I don't have any pain to ove me back. So I'm working out, I'm doing good, and eventually I'm back to where I was as a meat eater, right? So I was happy. I'm like, great, I'm making this happen. I'm vegan, and I've got the muscle that I want. And before I know it, I start surpassing myself, my meat eating self, except now I'm vegan and I've got metal in my neck. So I'm like, my mind's
Cool
exploding. And I'm like,
story.
I got it, dude. And I'm like, I got to document this. So I created the Instagram account that you guys all see now, and systematically just built myself up better and better to the point where I'm at today. And I'm just very motivated now to share my story with people, because a lot of people still think you can't have muscles and be vegan, but I've never performed better. I'm 40 years old. I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not some young guy. I'm 40 years old, and I've never looked better in my life. And that's, I don't want to give all of that to being vegan. What I'm not saying is if you go vegan,
Yeah.
you're going to look amazing, right? It still takes all the work, the dedication, the planning, right? But it's not the being vegan it makes you that way. It allows you to be that way, right? I can live this lifestyle if I want to. I very much do want to, and it's very conducive to how I want to live, because I grind, I work out, I lift weights, I do jujitsu, I do functional training, and I beat my body up. And if it wasn't for the anti-inflammatory benefits of plants, I don't know that I would still be able to do all this as a 40-year-old who's eating meat. I really don't think so. So it's been a journey, and I just feel really passionate about using that to inspire others, because my only regret is that I didn't do it earlier. So
That's amazing, man. And I think your story could be very inspirational because we've talked to many clients that join our program, and I think that scenario that you describe in the couch, like ordering takeout, just not doing anything, I think that's a very common life situation for a lot of people. But you told the story about how you were there and you were able to take yourself back and transform yourself and build the body, build the habits little by little without giving up. So I think that that could be very relatable to a lot of human beings. I don't know if you've had clients that enter the program with that kind of struggle, and then you see them overcome that over time.
Yeah, and it's really why I think the phrase "small steps climb mountains" really resonates with me. It's another one that I like to give my clients. There's another one that I made for myself in jujitsu to remind me to keep going, sometimes backwards, but always forwards.
Yeah.
These kinds of things, like, our path to success is not linear. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be peaks and valleys, and like you have to be able to weather the storm, and you don't have to be perfect about it. When I hurt my neck, that was a very deep valley for me. Not only was my body in a place where it was unrecognizable to me, my mind was depressed. I was filled with anxiety and
Yeah.
depression. I was worried about people who knew me, what they were going to think when they see this new, like, shriveled version of my former self.
Yeah.
And it can never be about giving up. It can never be about that, because every journey, no matter what you do in life, is going to have those struggles. And if you get in the habit of just giving up when things get hard, you're never going to get anywhere.
I
You
think the
learn to
challenge is,
fight through those deep valleys, you're good to go.
yeah, the challenge is you build up your character, because and next time you face a challenge, you're like, oh, I've been through this, I can do it again. It's just another turnaround, another part of the story that is going to make me better and more experienced.
I love
So,
that.
Will, 220 grams of protein, man. A lot of people think that's insane. That's crazy for us to eat that amount of protein. So, what do you eat on a daily basis? Where you go to meals?
Yeah, it's really simple. I only get my protein from probably 2 or 3 different protein sources right now, the way I'm eating right now. So I'll wake up in the morning and I have overnight oats made with protein powder waiting for me. It's in the refrigerator. So all for those that don't know how to make overnight oats, all you're doing is setting up protein oatmeal. Instead of cooking it in the microwave, you just let it sit in the refrigerator, and the liquid in the bowl will saturate the oats overnight. So you make it, set it. I wake up in the morning, it's ready to go for me, right? I'm also a part of Team 2 Scoops. So anytime I'm going into my protein powder, I'm using 2 scoops of protein. So, my morning overnight oats is going to have 50 grams of protein in just protein powder alone. I think I'm getting another couple grams from the oats as well. And if I use almond milk, maybe another gram for that, if, depending on the brand you use. So there's 50 grams right out of the gates. My next meal is normally some kind of like a protein wrap. I actually got one sitting next to me right here. And all I'm using is like the Olay low carb wrap. I've got like spinach and lettuce in here, a diced up tomato, some veganese, and then I'm obsessed with the Morningstar chicken strips right now.
This is the second time
The
you
the
told
vegan
me
chicken
last
strips,
year. I haven't tried it.
dude. I love these. I'm so hooked. So I'll have 2 of these. That's another, depending on how much I put in here, that's another 40 to 50 grams, right? And then, like, so I had my breakfast, I worked out, I went to jujitsu, I got done, I had some sugar to replenish the glycogen that I burned up. So, like, a banana, an apple, and then I go into my protein wraps. Now, my next meal is probably going to be some version of a protein bowl. It'll be rice, spinach, might have some broccoli in there. My protein source is going to be seitan. I love seitan. Seitan
Yeah.
has been a game changer for me, which is really, the interesting thing about seitan is it comes from wheat gluten.
Yeah.
And I would say probably like the early 2000s, for whatever reason, gluten was really demonized hard. Like, you would see everything advertised gluten free.
Gluten-free.
This is gluten free. That's gluten free, which is just, it doesn't mean it's more healthy. It just means it
Yeah.
has less protein, basically, at the end of the day. Wheat gluten is extremely healthy for you. And the only reason you should never, if there's ever a reason to avoid it, it's only because you have a sensitivity or an allergy to it. It has better macros than grilled chicken breast. Okay.
Yeah.
So I love the seitan. So, I mean, every time, you got to remember, anytime I'm eating a meal, I'm going to have 40 to 50 grams of protein in that meal. Right. So I'll have a protein bowl. I really like the Baby Ray's sugar-free sauce. Like a serving has 5 calories. They have some really good flavors. So I normally do like a barbecue in my first one. And then my second protein bowl, I do everything the same except the sauce is different. I have like a guacamole salsa that I use so I can have the healthy fats in there. And then after that, so that's meal 3. So after that, meal 4, normally I'm settled back into the home office. So if I'm working, I need to make meals that are very quick and very easy. I don't have time to do a lot of prep. I'll go have another set of like 2 protein wraps that I already described, the Morningstar chicken strips.
Yeah.
So I'll have another set of those wraps. And then at the end of the day, at the final end of it, depending on where I'm at with my calories and macros, depending on what my goals are, if I'm in shred or maintenance, I will have either like a protein shake. I could have, 2 protein bars. I sometimes will have I'll have a like high protein pasta, but if my carbs are creeping up to my upper limit, I'll use something like spaghetti squash instead of real pasta. And I will throw like seitan meatballs in my pasta. You can even do like black bean pasta, edamame pasta. And these things, you go from having 3 to 5 grams of protein in a regular serving of pasta. These pastas I just mentioned have like 20 grams of protein
Yeah.
per serving. So at the end of the day, I'm sitting at, 220 grams of protein. It's actually super funny. The other day, I forgot I had meal 4. So I was
That's
so
good.
hungry, I ate meal 4 twice, ended up having like 260 grams of protein at the end of the
Happens.
day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's so easy as long as you just know where to get your sourcing from. I mean, for people who are brand new to this, you'll hear people say, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know where to get my protein from. The sources are out there. It's just a matter of knowing where they're at in the grocery store, or knowing what websites sell these things. Once you have your methodology in place, it's just rinse and repeat, and it becomes very, very simple.
100%, man. And so question for you, man. You eat, sounds like you have a delicious diet. Now, do you have a lot of variety in a day to day, or do you tend to eat the same things?
Oh, the diet that I just told you, those 5 meals, that's what I have every day. It's the
Yes.
same thing.
And
It's the
that's the
same
reason
thing.
why I ask you, right?
I know why you ask, and this is the same thing I try to tell my clients. Like when we get to the meal plan, I'm like, all right, listen, there's 2 kinds of people. Person A likes a lot of variety. Person B can eat the same thing every day. You got to remember, person A that needs a lot of variety. Not only is that harder to prep, you're buying more things in the grocery store, you're spending more money. It's not conducive to living a busy and fitness active lifestyle, right? People who are eating the same thing every day, you build up a system. Like I can prep all my meals for the next day in under 10 minutes. I've just gotten so good at it. I can almost do it with my eyes closed, right? So it's just a matter of cutting corners wherever you can, making things simple. And one way to do that is just to have the same meals every day. Make sure your meals are good. And you could run the same meals for a whole month if you want. And if you need variety, switch them up after, a month too. Switch it then and have the same freaking 5 meals
Yeah.
every day. Quit making it hard on yourself. Let's do this in a way that works,
And
right?
dude, I don't know about you, but every time I've seen people that come in with a variety mindset, it's like guaranteed, like either they change the mindset or they're gonna fail. Like I
Yeah.
see them fail over and over again because they don't want to eat the same thing every day. And at some point you got to decide what matters most to you. Having a little bit of variety or getting jacked. It's
I always tell my clients that struggle with that. I said, having the body I want will always be worth more than the 10 minutes of pleasure I get from eating anything. You can't show me a meal that tastes better than having the body I want feels. You
I got a
never be able
saying
to do
for
that.
you. If you don't make sacrifices for what you want becomes a sacrifice.
I love that. I'm gonna say I'm using that one, bro. I'm stealing that.
One of my mentors gave that to me, man. That's cool. Cool, man. So I think I think that this is good. I think people got to know you a little bit. Is there anything else you wanna, share to someone that's watching you, listening to you right now?
Yeah, I think that if you are thinking about getting into fitness, your best method to see the most success is to hire a coach. And I've been coaching for 10 years now, 6 of those being vegan, and probably the last 3 now have been on Jack Vegan. So I've been around. I know a good program when I see it. You got to remember the internet is flooded with people who are just going to give you some cookie cutter plan and then they're going to disappear, right? If you want someone who's actually doing it, who's going to support you day in and day out, a coach like us, you want to go with Jack Vegans. If you want to surround yourself with a community of like-minded people who are already doing it, or maybe a couple steps ahead of you, you want to go with Jack Vegans. If you want to have a personalized coaching plan that makes sense just for you because it was made just for you, go with Jack Vegans, right? The best thing you can do for yourself is invest in yourself. And anytime I've seen the most success in life, it's because I hired a coach, someone who's already doing what I wanted to do. And fitness is absolutely no different. So I think that for those of you out there, if you're watching this and you're thinking about joining a coaching program, you're in the right spot. You got to reach out to one of us and make some moves, take action, because that's the only way you're ever going to get anywhere in life is by taking action. So I'm an open book. If anybody ever wants to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Will Brooks Official. And if you ever want to talk further about coaching, say the word. I'm not judgmental. I think that I'm a kind source of
You don't look like it.
motivation. I can be militaristic if that's what you need, but I normally operate from a place of kindness and positivity. So if you're thinking about it, you're already ready. Just jump and make the move.
Dude, I'm gonna make that an advert. That was smooth. I love it. And
Please
actually,
do.
while you were talking, if you got time, like one more question.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk a little bit about the importance of mindset on a fitness journey, because most people, when they think fitness, they think, I just need a meal plan and a workout plan and I got it. But they fail to see the importance of the mental aspect, the mindset aspect. So for you, how does mindset affect the fitness journey of someone?
Being a martial artist, mindset is always going to be your most powerful tool. You have to remember, just like in martial arts, a strong mind doesn't follow a strong body. It's the other way around. A strong body will follow a strong mind. You have to be strong up here first. And a lot of us don't give ourselves enough credit. If you look back over your life and see everything that you've conquered, all the problems that you've gotten past, all the problems that you've circumvented, all the problems that you've solved, you would be so surprised when you feel like you can't do fitness. Like, fitness is a small puzzle, especially when you have a coach that's there to help you. You know, you don't give yourself enough credit. You have to be certain of yourself, because I guarantee you have already done things in your life that is harder than fitness. Fitness is tough, sure. And that's why you don't see everybody with the six pack. It's reserved for the people who want it badly enough. But if you don't have the mindset, you can't just go in to fitness relying on the physical element. If you don't have a good mindset and things get challenging, guess what? Guess what the physical element doesn't do for you? It doesn't keep you mentally strong through times of hardship. We all come across hurdles in life where this can become really difficult to put into our schedule, right? But it's something that makes us better on the inside and the outside. It makes our brain stronger, and it's something that has to be a priority. So I think if you're lacking in the mindset department, that's one thing that I really love about Jack Vegans is we do focus on the mindset aspect of this. A lot of the success that I've seen in jiu-jitsu comes from having a good mindset. A lot of the success I've seen, and probably you've seen in fitness, comes from having a strong mindset. And if you learn how to foster that, if you learn how to build on what you've already accomplished in life, and you can relay that to fitness through a strong mindset, you really take yourself to the next level. So mindset's always going to be more important first and foremost over the physical element, because without the mindset, you can't have the physical element.
You nailed it, man. And just to add on to that, I think there are three really important aspects when it comes to building your mindset. One is your environment, who you surround yourself with, because at the end of the day, we absorb the energy of the people we're with. So when you enter a community of people that are like-minded, that are on a similar journey, that want similar things to you, that are going through the similar challenges, that are going to help you, stay motivated when you're not motivated, then that you're going to absorb that energy. So that's one thing. You got the community. Then you got a coach, you got a mentor that you look up to, that's more advanced, that can tell you that what to do, what not to do, what to focus on, that can give you a kick in the ass when you need it, that can be gentle when you need it, that can tell you, hey, be easy on yourself when you need to be easy on yourself. That's another really important aspect. And I forgot the third one. But those two, community and a coach, are going to be incredibly important in building your mindset. So I think for me, having those two things in my life, not only in the fitness side, but in every other aspect that I've managed to have a little bit of success has been a game changer.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. 100%.
And I think we can wrap it up. I'm gonna with this. I think it's a good time to wrap it up, unless you want to add something else.
I think we're good, bro. We covered a lot of ground here, and I hope that it can help inspire and motivate others to do what's right for them.
Let's go. I'm gonna drop all the links for Will in the description if you want to reach out to him. He looks mean, but he's a very gentle guy, very kind guy. He'll be nice to you, I promise. I, on the other hand, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be nice as well. So whatever you need, just reach out to us. And thank you for watching the video or listening to the podcast. I appreciate your support. If you can share it, that'll be awesome. And if you can leave a comment, that'll be even better. All right. Thank you for the time, man.
Thank you, brother.